Hi, I'm Rachel Sennis with City TV, and welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, the news magazine that takes you inside the city's most important issues, projects, and events. Today we are coming to you here from West Beach, and we'll tell you more specifically about West Beach later on in the show. But first, our top story. Santa Barbara is popular when it comes to all kinds of travel, biking, driving, and walking. In our top story, we'll tell you the difference between fact and fiction when it comes to street safety. No matter whether you're a cyclist, a pedestrian, or behind the wheel, knowing the rules of the road is a big part of being safe on the streets. Bronwyn Brindley walks a group of children to Monte Vista Elementary School. Jeanette Kendall bikes to work in downtown as part of her morning routine. And Tom Jaime drives down TV Hill to get to his job in City Hall. Although Brindley, Kendall, and Jaime use different modes of transportation, all three have one thing in common. They, like everyone else, have somewhere to go.
Well, traveling somewhere is so routine we don't even think about it. You know, we get up, we leave the house, we think about what we're going to do in our day or what we're going to do when we get there. But don't take traffic safety for granted.
Brindley can't take traffic safety for granted. She's cautious while walking children to school.
We are at the corner of Grove Lane and Callecita. We have a walking school bus. Most of us live either on Grove or Foxen Lane, and then some live on Callecita. And we gather in the morning on this corner. Occasionally one of the fathers walks the children to school and makes sure they get there safely. This intersection has become very busy as a way to get from the State Street area to Foothill, and a lot of people seem to ignore the stop sign. Occasionally they run it, especially going downhill. And the stop sign's been here for several years now. Before that there was no stop sign at all. And it's very dangerous for the children to cross, not knowing if someone's going to stop them.
Running stop signs and stoplights can be disastrous. In October, the driver of this Kia Optima was traveling eastbound on Carrillo Street when it struck three pedestrians crossing Carrillo Street in the State Street crosswalk. Police determined that the driver was not drinking and had no signs of being impaired. Jeanette Kendall knows firsthand about getting into accidents. It wasn't long ago Kendall got into one while riding her bike.
This is the intersection of Bath and Mitchell-Terena on the west side of downtown Santa Barbara. And just right over my shoulder, I had an accident here about 6 months ago where I was coming through this intersection and the lanes were crowded and there's parked cars all along. And there's not a bike lane coming on Mitchell-Terena Street, so I had to be in traffic, and the car in front of me, a car pulled out in front of it. It stopped short. I couldn't stop in time, and I ended up running into the back of the car and ending up on their back window.
While Tom Jaime has not gotten into an accident while driving to work, he's seen some pretty close calls.
There's a lot of pedestrians that are walking on the sidewalks over on Carrillo, near Carrillo and San Andreas. Not everybody uses the crosswalk there. A lot of pedestrians will just walk across Carrillo trying to just basically play Frogger across the street, and that's really dangerous. And every time I see somebody doing that, you know, I kind of hold my breath.
I held my breath a few times while patrolling the street with Officer Bob Casey one afternoon. We witnessed common mistakes people make while on the road, whether they were behind the wheel, pedaling a bike, or on their feet.
See, here's a guy walking across the street on a cell phone with his back to the traffic. Now, if a person were to come through the intersection on a bike, it could prove disastrous. Now, if you see this bicyclist coming, see he ignores the red light totally. Ladies, pedestrians are not allowed to be in the bike lane when there's an adequate sidewalk. Thank you.
Although we saw violations from bicyclists, pedestrians, and drivers, the police department says the amount of serious accidents in Santa Barbara is relatively low.
Well, by and large, I'd say most drivers are pretty safe. We do have a number of accidents in Santa Barbara, but considering the amount of miles driven, the number of vehicles, both residents, people working, vacationers, tourists, really the accident rate is not really that high. What we stress is to be aware of your surroundings and just obey the rules of the road.
But do you know the rules of the road? Laws change, so what you thought you knew about traveling may no longer be the case. Take talking on your cell phone, for example. Fact or fiction, it is against the law to use a handheld mobile phone while driving. Fact. Starting July 1st, 2008, using your cell phone while driving will be against the law, thanks to Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger, who signed legislation earlier this year. But there are 3 exceptions to the rule. The law allows drivers to use a wireless telephone for emergency purposes, drivers of commercial vehicles to use push-to-talk phones until July 1st, 2011, and allow drivers of emergency response vehicles to use a cell phone without a hands-free device. Drivers who violate the law will face a $20 fine for a first offense and $50 fine for each subsequent offense. Fact or fiction, by law, only those under the age of 18 are required to wear a seatbelt. Fiction, California law requires all drivers and passengers to wear their seatbelts while riding in a motor vehicle, no matter if it's a short trip or a long trip, where you sit or your age. And the phrase, click it or ticket, is true in California. The first seatbelt violation costs $100 and increases with every violation thereafter. By using a dummy and this machine, CHP Officer Don Clotworthy demonstrates the consequences of not wearing a seatbelt.
A lot of the injuries and deaths we see on the highways throughout this country, and even here in Santa Barbara, could be prevented if the person inside the vehicle had just been wearing a seatbelt. And it doesn't take a very great amount of speed to roll over. Typically we see vehicles that overturn onto their roofs at speeds as low as 25 miles an hour. So that's not a very high rate of speed to actually roll a vehicle over. And if you're upside down without your seatbelt on, chances are you're going to be hurt. Here we go. If you were this person, in my professional opinion and years of experience on the highway, more than likely you'd be dead.
Biking is not exempt from rules of the road either.
The vehicle code applies equally to bicyclists and motorists. Now, a couple of exceptions are that bicyclists, if they're not traveling the speed of traffic, need to be riding as close as practical to the right-hand shoulder or in a designated bicycle lane. They have the same right to the road as vehicles. It's just that if they're not traveling the speed of vehicles, they need to yield and move over to the right.
Fact or fiction, all bicyclists are required to wear a helmet. Fiction.
It's mandatory for bicycle riders under the age of 16 to wear a bicycle helmet. Now, adults are not required to wear helmets, but that's a very important safety feature. Some people think, oh, I'm not going that fast, so a helmet isn't really that necessary. Well, we had an accident where a woman who was traveling at a very slow speed, really, just fell off her bicycle. She wasn't able to recover. She hit her head on the pavement, and that turned out to be a fatal injury. That is not uncommon.
Pedestrians must abide by rules as well. Fact or fiction, pedestrians always have the right of way. Fiction.
Well, that's actually one of the myths that some people think they know, is pedestrians do not always have the right of way. You know, for example, here on State Street, pedestrians cannot cross anywhere they want. They have to cross at the intersections where the traffic lights are. They can't just randomly walk across. If they do, there's very likely to be an accident. Not 3 weeks ago, we had a young woman who had been drinking, who was walking on Cliff Drive. She left the safety of the sidewalk and went out into the street, just a couple of feet apparently, and she was struck by a vehicle and killed. And so, in this case, a pedestrian who did not follow the rules of the road, who had been drinking and impaired, made a fatal decision.
Pedestrians are everywhere in Santa Barbara, especially downtown. People going to the farmers market, tourists exploring State Street, and downtown employees taking a coffee break or grabbing lunch. Downtown is popular when it comes to walking. People cross the street all the time, but not always by the rules. Fact or fiction, in Santa Barbara, pedestrians can be ticketed for crossing on the blinking red and the solid red hand. Fact, Like jaywalking, you can get a ticket for this. It is against the law to start walking when the red hand is blinking and when it is a solid red.
People don't like getting tickets for walking against a red light. They think, I'm walking, I'm safe from tickets. Well, that's wrong.
The police department says that the two most common factors of accidents in Santa Barbara are speed and right-of-way violations. But it all comes down to being aware of your surroundings, reducing distractions like cell phones, and especially giving yourself plenty of time to reach your destination. For Brinley, Kendall, and Jaime, being in a rush isn't worth it.
It's inevitable where if you don't plan especially well on a particular morning, then you're going to be running a little bit behind schedule and you're going to be rushing. So I certainly have that sense of urgency, but I always try to maintain composure and to not really exceed the speed limits or to be driving, certainly not to be driving dangerously.
It'd be nice if everyone could just slow down a little bit and think about getting to work safely instead of quickly. And usually it's a matter of a minute or two that's lost if you slow down. It's not going to make or break your getting to work on time.
You know, just be aware that there are other people out there making other choices, and we're all just trying to get to work, get home from work, get around, and just to share the road.
It is fact, not fiction, that these are all simple things to be safer on the streets.
Have a great day, guys.
And recently we fell back an hour to standard time due to daylight saving. Because of this, it gets darker earlier. Consider this when making plans to drive, bike, or walk. Well, it's a beautiful day to take a stroll here at West Beach. This major connection between Stearns Wharf and the waterfront is one of the most highly biked and walked areas of the city. Now, a new project will enhance the pedestrian experience between Stearns Wharf and the waterfront.
On any given day, you can find plenty of fun in the West Beach area. From Stearns Wharf to the harbor, there's so much to do, like taking a brisk walk or enjoying great eats.
I am so glad I live in Santa Barbara and I can go to the beach and I can live with a lot of things to have the positives of the beach.
Though there's a lot of things to live with, there's always room for improvement. Chad Stevens is the owner of Sambo's restaurant, Cabrillo Boulevard. Stevens tells us what can be changed in the area as he sees the daily ins and outs of West Beach from his business across the street.
If you look at the sidewalks, I don't think there's been probably any repair work. It would be 50-plus years that the sidewalks are all really falling apart. And a big issue is a lot of the tourists in Santa Barbara, all the lighting is based on State Street. So they just go up State Street and they forget that we have this wonderful pier.
Now, the redevelopment agency is looking to give the area a makeover through the West Beach Pedestrian Improvement Project.
The waterfront merchants approached the city and the redevelopment agency with concerns about how pedestrians were circulating along Cabrillo Boulevard. And so our goals are to get people safely across Cabrillo Boulevard and then also to bring them down from Stearns Wharf to the harbor and waterfront area.
Bigger issues that we have with the waterfront area is Cabrillo Boulevard. The traffic's moving pretty quickly. It's very, very difficult to get pedestrians across there, and it feels unsafe.
It's really dangerous. I mean, we have people that are running across the street all the time that are just trying to get to the beach and or vice versa, try to get over here to our business. The distance to cross the street here is extremely large. You have 4 different lanes plus a little bit of 2 parking lanes. So in actuality, about 6 lanes to cross the street.
Currently, many pedestrians are tempted to take the risk and jaywalk. That's why the safe crosswalks along Cabrillo Boulevard have become key aspects of the project.
To get to the beach from Ambassador Park without jaywalking, I would have to take a much longer route. However, with the new improvements, I'll be able to get across the street quickly and easily. And once I get to the other side, I'll notice some changes to the seawall.
The intersections of Chapala Street, here at Ambassador Park, Bath Street, and Castillo, we are going to create small plazas that will add areas of interest and also visually break up Cabrillo Boulevard
And so there'll be effectively 4 of those along this waterfront area that'll also have a historic story to tell. There will be some historic reference to the working harbour and to the history of Santa Barbara itself that'll engage people and encourage them to interact with the West Beach environment.
These viewing plazas or placitas will break up this seawall that runs between Stearns Wharf and the harbor, which stretches 3/4 of a mile. The placitas will also add more access points to the beach, which is currently blocked by the seawall.
And that will also create general pedestrian access, but also ADA access, so that people with disabilities can access the beach and the beach walk more easily.
With a more attractive and engaging sidewalk for pedestrians, the beach path will be unchanged for bikers and surreys.
To put in a couple more crosswalks would be fantastic, because we've got the joggers, we've got the bikers, we've got everybody down there trying to use the same space.
Along the harbour from East Beach, where we have the volleyball courts, through to Stearns Wharf and that recreation area, through to this working harbour itself. So in my mind, West Beach is an important place. Our planning is looking to create a catalyst that will acknowledge the way that local people are using West Beach area and provide amenities for them to be able to use it.
I think it'll create much more of a desire for the customers to visit the waterfront. Also just the beautiful boats coming in and out. Santa Barbara's got a great working harbor with all the sea urchins, lobsters coming in. So it's a real neat thing for, I think, the locals and the tourists to see.
With all that West Beach has to offer, many say that the pedestrian improvement project will be a makeover for the better, giving beach lovers like Margie Sullivan and Chad Stevens just another reason to enjoy living in this coastal community.
Construction for the West Beach Pedestrian Improvement Project is expected to begin in late 2008. Well, in last month's episode, we took a closer look at some of the programs that serve Santa Barbara's youth. This month, in the second part of our Youth Focus series, Channel 18's Dominique Blocker takes us inside 3 local activities that show how teens value and respect one another and our community. And as you're about to see, these activities don't just come and go, but have an everlasting impact on their lives.
In the ever-changing world of teens, there are some constants. The need for outlets, whether positive or negative, is one thing that is universal. In Santa Barbara, programs that work with teens are providing not only a positive outlet for local youth, but a place where it is okay to be themselves, where being unique is embraced, and where making a difference in the community is a key focus.
Getting involved is the main thing that has helped me get past those stereotypes that what I'm supposed to be, who I'm supposed to act like, or what group I'm supposed to be involved in.
The annual haunted house is one place where the teens' creativity and hard work build not only a fun experience for their peers, but a safe place for all members of the community to gather and enjoy a Halloween scare.
Every year we do something a little different. This year it's a haunted house of horrors, and it's going to be a great year.
The haunted house is constructed and staffed by teen volunteers. With only 1 week to transform the Carrillo Recreation Center gym into the haunted house of horrors, they are a hard-working group.
Last year we had about 60 volunteers total, and they put in almost 1,000 hours. So we have some dedicated volunteers.
Because so many volunteers are needed to make the haunted house a success, there is inevitably a wide variety of teens working closely together.
It is a very big mix. We have people from different backgrounds, different situations. This year we had volunteers from a recovery program, and they dedicated at least 20 hours of work.
Programs like the Community Haunted House depend on local youth for its success. They also encourage teens to take an active role in their communities.
But it's not only ghouls and goblins that get the teens' creative juices flowing. Another program is bringing teens together and encouraging them to share their stories with the community. Santa Barbara City at Peace uses the theater to create positive change in Santa Barbara.
City at Peace is a program that combines training in peacemaking, nonviolent conflict resolution, cross-cultural understanding, but we do it through theater. So we use the performing arts as our vehicle. I always tell the kids, we're not here to fix you, we're not here to change you, we're just here to listen to what you have to say and find out if you have ideas about how your community could be changed for the better and how we can together create a city at peace.
The program began in Washington, D.C. in 1994 as a way to deal with the racial divisions and violence of the city's youth. The response was astounding, and 2 years later, Santa Barbara became the second City at Peace program in the nation. It is now an organization that crosses international borders. Meeting a minimum of 4 hours each week throughout the school year, the group works to address the family, educational, and social issues that the teens face.
Some of the stories that we heard and when they tell their life stories are just heartbreaking. I mean, to the point I'd go home and all I could think of is, how can I help this young person? So I think it's really about that intimate support system that we offer kids, and it's not about any sort of product. The theater is the goal. It's something that the kids can hang on to because they know they're working towards something, and they're proud of it at the end, but really it's the connections that they make with each other. Our job is to empower young people to take charge of their lives.
For the youth involved, being able to express themselves and interact with the variety of people in the program makes City at Peace an important part of their lives.
Last year we had everything from honor students to kids that were on probation.
We have kids who are not doing well in school or who have problems of one kind or another, and we give them a stage, give them a song to sing, a poem to write, and they blossom. We have young people who come back to me years later.
One of them is Jessica Wright. A 5-year City at Peace alumna, there was a time when the only reason she attended the meetings was for an escape.
I first got involved with City at Peace when I was living in a group home, and it was one of the activities that they allowed us to go to see if we would like it or just to get away, and I went to see other people and not be around the same 12 girls that I lived with every single day. I was also 14 years old, didn't trust adults, didn't trust authority, and didn't realize that they were genuinely people that cared about us.
Now a law student at Southwestern University, Jessica still utilizes the skills she learned in City at Peace to this day.
Most of the conflict resolution skills I think I use in a variety of different ways. I may not sit down and do a full mediation between two classmates or coworkers that are arguing, but we'll still work things through and talk. I'm a lot more open, just opening up to other people and other ideas and trying new things is probably one of the biggest things. I'm willing to try just about everything now, whereas when I first started City of Peace, I wouldn't try anything.
For Jessica, the program not only impacted her life, but her brother Adrian's as well.
City at Peace is a mind-expanding experience. It's something that you'll never leave disappointed from. It's something that it gets you interacting with people, gets you interacting with adults, with teens. It gets you involved in something bigger than yourself. And it's something that can really teach you a lot about who you are.
And although teens may move on from programs as they get older, the impact these organizations make in their lives does not end with adolescence. For Adrian Griffith, now a camera operator and sound engineer in Los Angeles, this is especially true.
I don't think I really would have gotten into theater if I had not been in City at Peace, so I really don't think I'd be doing the job that I do today.
Activities such as the Haunted House and City at Peace encourage youth to work together to create projects teens can be proud of and the entire city can enjoy. Another organization is working to make sure youth issues are a focus for the community at large. Recently, a candidates' youth forum was put together in order to bring together city council candidates and Santa Barbara youth.
I'm hoping that it'll be a positive experience that kids can see. Not only can you get involved now when you're a youth and you can have your voice heard, but also as you grow older in the community that you've been born and raised in or whatever community you find yourself in, to really get involved in whatever you want to see happen to make it happen.
With all 8 council candidates in attendance, both adults and youth in the community heard responses to questions submitted by local high school students.
Safety is the main, I would say, underlying theme going on through all the questions, but as well as gang violence is a big priority.
One Santa Barbara high school student found out about the forum from his history teacher.
Well, I just want to hear more of what is going on with what they tend to do with people. I want to hear more about gang violence.
Santa Barbara does does a really good job of grabbing kids from every single corner of Santa Barbara. There's something for them, and there's constant programs and outlets for kids to get involved in, and it's just a matter of kids wanting to at this point. We've worked really hard with Youth Council and teen programs to make those programs available, our community service opportunities, so they're there, and I'm excited about that, and I think the city's doing a great job, but now it's a matter of kids getting involved and wanting to get involved, and hopefully this will be the jumpstart for that.
Teen programs are working to make that a reality for local youth.
You'd be surprised at how, what their thoughts are and how amazingly creative they are if you just give them a chance.
For more information on City at Peace, the Youth Council, and other teen programs in Santa Barbara, visit our website, citytv18.com. Well, City TV is proud to announce the premiere of an all-new show on sustainability and all things green. Coming this fall, the show premieres by educating viewers about the power of the sun by visiting local solar projects like City Fire Station Number 2.
The energy picture of the United States and of the world is changing, whether we like it or not.
Photovoltaics is a dream technology because it has no moving parts to require maintenance.
It's easy, it's reliable, it's kind of like this cool power out of it that comes out of nowhere. Students love it.
Well, this is a 15.4 kilowatt peak system. So that's able to provide over half of the total kilowatt hours needed to run this Fire Station 2.
Well, the city is really on a track to be more sustainable in every way. And if we're reducing our reliance on non-sustainable, polluting forms of energy, it benefits everybody.
There's some very interesting work being done right here in Santa Barbara, using organic material.
The goal here is to be able to make low-cost solar cells. Exciting new stuff.
It's motivating and optimistic to think that my actions can be something that will lead toward a greater good.
We have to move at warp speed to stop using fossil fuel as quickly as we possibly can.
In 1978, the whole world had 1 megawatt of photovoltaics. That's how much Fresno State put on its campus about 6 months ago.
For us here in Santa Barbara, we get so many days of sunshine. You can't let the sun just go to waste.
And you're invited to the premiere of our all-new show on sustainability. Tune in to City TV Channel 18 for all the details. Well, that does it for this month's episode of Inside Santa Barbara and our trip here to West Beach. Next month, we'll take you somewhere new and tell you about the projects and events happening inside Santa Barbara. If you live outside the area or you don't have access to a TV, you can also watch the show online at citytv18.com. If you have any questions or comments about our show, give us a call at City TV at 564-5311. I'm your host, Rachel Senes, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara.